Welcome back to Luigi's Gaming Lounge. This is Luigi Mario, and today we are recording episode 38. I am joined by Out of Time Ecto 1, aka
Andy. Hello.
I'm also joined by Trip Hazard, aka
Barnaby. Hello.
And also Terrors, aka
Sam. Hello.
Hello. So, couple of episodes ago, we spoke on PlayStation and how they're making more PlayStation 4s and discussed their project that they're doing, Spartacus, which is their equivalent to what is supposed to be a Game Pass, I suppose. So I've been looking around online a lot this last week, as I do, and there's been a lot of chatter about, because PlayStation games have been coming now to PC, most recently God of War, which has been very well received. I believe it's already sold over 1 million copies on PC. There's talk of if and when Sony may release their new release games side by side with like the PS5 version, like the same day. There's been a lot of chat on that, and there's been a lot of people have been very vocal online with whether it's a good thing, a bad thing, and so on. So I just wanted to discuss that because myself, I've had a really good think about this, and for me, I don't see it as a bad thing at all. I'm not just saying that because I use PC. I'm saying that because at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of people out there who use PC who would never touch a console. They purchase a PlayStation game. Where's the profit going? It's going to Sony. You know, why would they not want to do that? It just makes business sense to do that. And I think we will see that happening sooner rather than later. I just thought I'd that's basically what this episode's about. So we'll come to you, Trip Hazard. Do you have any thoughts, feelings on this subject?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, really, because famously, console manufacturers don't make any money on the consoles they produce. It's just almost like a gateway for them to sell more games and other services, really.
Definitely.
So, by selling more games on PC, having an earlier release date, I think that's going to be a winner for all, because consumers get to play their games earlier, and also Sony gets to pocket some more money. So,
yeah, definitely.
That'll be a good thing, really.
Yeah, I mean, as bad as it sounds, a lot of the chatter of it being a bad thing, as you could probably imagine, seems to be coming from a lot of people who own a PlayStation system. Obviously, Xbox do it, don't they?
Yeah, I have a point on that as well, is that console gamers are going to be console gamers and PC gamers are going to be PC gamers. There's going to be some overlap.
Yeah.
But if you buy a console, you buy a console for a specific reason. And that is that you generally prefer console gaming. There is something to say about feeling that sort of warm glow of elitism where you're the only person who can play a certain type of game.
Yeah.
But I think the majority, at least, if you're a console gamer, you'll play console. If you're a PC gamer, you'll play PC. Yeah,
no, definitely. And I think another big thing that I see it as is, I know it may be changing, like I said, with this Spartacus project, but we still don't know the details on that. But with games possibly releasing day one on PC from PlayStation, it's also a plus for game reservation as well, in terms of, you can jump on the PC and play games from 20, 30 years ago. Whereas with PlayStation, their backwards compatibility hasn't been fantastic, has it?
No.
If we're honest.
No, they used to be good, and then midway through the PS3, they went all crap.
Yeah, 100%. Terrors, what have you got to say on that? Anything? With you being Mr. PC man? Hello.
No, I think I can hear me. Yeah, I'm here. Give me a chance, bro.
He nodded off.
No, I mean, to be fair, you guys pretty much covered it.
Oh, short episode.
No,
Yeah,
See you next week, guys.
Bye, guys.
You guys have pretty much covered that. So
But how do you feel as a
additional
PC gamer?
yeah.
I think that would be a good input because I'm not really a PC gamer. Luigi is, I know, and Euro as well. So Sam, as a PC gamer, how would you feel getting these previously PlayStation exclusive games a lot sooner?
I mean, the thing is, for me, I've never really been that much of a PlayStation guy anyway. So I suppose, if like in some ways, that's a good thing. I'm able to potentially delve into into unknown territory when it comes to PlayStation exclusive games. Because I've never had a PlayStation. So, well, I've had a PlayStation, but you know what I mean. Not in recent years. I've not had since like PS1 days. You know what I mean? Still going,
this is what I'm saying as well. This is another positive. Is, for example, somebody such as yourself, Sam, who hasn't had a PlayStation anytime recently. Now that games are coming out on PC, and hopefully day one in the future, there's going to be IPs that you play that you've never played before, and you're going to be discovering these IPs from Sony, and you could then become a potential recurring customer of Sony, end of the day. So, the main thing is, they make their money from software, which are the games. Famously, consoles have sold at a loss, haven't they? For the last X amount of years.
I think from a gaming perspective and as a PC player, I think anything that is that becomes available to a PC gamer where that's not within, for example, Microsoft or that kind of, or Steam or Origin or anything like that, I think is it's always going to be a positive, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, why would you not want to have the that access? I think it is a positive. It's just that for me, when I sort of said to you guys, obviously just a minute ago that I felt like you'd covered it, it's only because for me, I just don't really. I've just never really played much PlayStation content, and I've never really even looked into playing any. It's never really interested me to play any. So, but maybe now, maybe it would be time to have a look and see what titles are going to be available to begin with, and see what. Because I know there are some very good PlayStation
some
awesome
exclusives. Titles. I mean, I really hope, and I'm sure it is going to, The Last of Us comes to PC, because I know for a fact, Sam, you would enjoy that game 100%. So, fingers crossed. Also, just before we come to Andy to get his sort of thoughts and opinions on this, just quickly also want to say another bad thing that people have been bringing up is an excuse, I would say, is that this is going to harm, if this goes ahead and Sony releases games day one on PC, it's going to harm PlayStation sales in terms of consoles. Firstly, they can't even keep up with demand. So, PlayStations are selling like hotcakes still, over a year later. Secondly, your average gamer who buys a console, for example, compared to somebody who buys a PC. Somebody who buys a PC is going to spend £2,000 on a PC. Your console gamer wants to spend somewhere in the region of £200 to £400 on a console. Now, that console gamer isn't going to suddenly go out and purchase, a flashy PC for £2,000 just to play some PlayStation games. So this, to me, like I said, the whole argument just doesn't make sense to me of that it's a bad thing, because
they're different markets, aren't they?
Totally different markets. But yeah, Andy, let's hear what you've got to say. Hello.
You thought I'd nodded off?
Oh,
you thought I'd nodded off?
Treatment.
And right, we'll come back to Andy after.
I now feel no guilt whatsoever for
let's wake him
not even getting a chance of 3 seconds to reply. Andy's fully ditched.
Maybe he's just gone for a poo.
No, maybe He
That
must be
sounds
having some
likely.
tech-
It does sound
Hello?
likely.
He's
tech-
here.
I could hear you all. It just wasn't. My mic wasn't working.
Oh, okay.
of course, the oldest trick in the book.
He's just.
Sam was the one who was sleeping on the job. I was wide awake, governor.
The evidence will be in the replay. Of the,
Exactly, yeah.
That's the
recording.
jury of listeners for the verdict.
Yeah.
Guilty.
No,
Hang
what
him.
I was saying, and obviously only myself heard, I sort of agree with the rest of the guys. Most things have been covered anyway. I sort of come at it from a different angle. I grew up as a PC gamer. So I used to actually, I was never a PlayStation guy until the PS4, but I used to be a PC guy. So I used to play like the Final Fantasy series and things on the PC. Obviously, that's a title that sort of goes hand in hand with PlayStation and PC as the years went on. I
That's
can
quite an
always.
interesting angle, actually. Sorry to interrupt. That's actually quite an interesting angle because back in the day, it used to be fairly big news when a PlayStation 1 game got re-released on the PC.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I don't think releasing a game on the PC is ever going to be a bad shout. Do I think they're going to lose market share? No, because they're going to make profit either way, especially if it's digital sales. It makes no difference to them. A little bit of code difference to get it for a different platform. Microsoft do it. Microsoft, they're cornering the games console market and the PC market hand in hand. PlayStation have no grip on the PC market. There is an opportunity there for them.
Yeah.
They might be seeing, are they losing some sales to Microsoft, the Game Pass? Can they recoup some of this loss there? I see no bad things coming out of it. Like Barney, is it going to sort of benefit me in any way? No, I don't think it will. But can it benefit others? Yeah, potentially. Again, do I think they should go down the route of maybe releasing the tangible PC games? Probably not, because then you are spending perhaps unnecessarily. But especially down the digital route, I can't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, like we say, I think we've pretty much covered everything now. I mean, I thought maybe one of us might be, against it, but it doesn't. It just doesn't make any logical sense. I mean, everyone's opinions that I've seen online who are against it, they've not given any sort of real hard sort of facts about why. It's just, oh, I'm a PlayStation fan, and they can't do this. I don't mean, I mean,
I think that PCs though, like there's always this console conflict, isn't there? Like the fan base and the fanboys. The PC kind of stays out of it. Yes, there's always the inside joke of PC master race.
Yeah.
But I think, regardless of what console gang you're in, you can't argue that PC is the master race.
Yeah.
Is it the most user friendly? No. Is it the most successful? No. But it will always be the master race because theoretically, all consoles are consumer packaged PCs.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, PC is the master race. They're above all this playground bullying.
Yeah.
So if you can get that the overseer on side, why not? I think when you're fanboying over a console versus PC, I think you probably need to do a bit of fact checking. It's not sort of an illogical, pointless argument. But as long as the numbers add up from Sony's end, like Barney says, usually choose a console for a reason. People choose like Sam's Pro Switch, Pro PC. I didn't hit the PlayStation to go to PS4, etc., etc. Very few people, probably, yourself, you're a bit more in this market, Luigi. Not many people are fluid across everything. They sort of pick something and stick to it. And
Luigi is a bit of a tart when it comes to games.
So he's a game whore.
I am the biggest game whore. I'll have you know.
Having the game available across the multitude of options pleases more people, doesn't it? It pleases the multitude of people. And variety is the spice of life. So.
Yeah, and obviously let's not forget also, cross-play opportunities, even in terms of, I'm not saying, it doesn't even have to be sort of massively multiplayer games.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Cooperative games.
If you can increase your player base, then that just increases the chance that somebody's going to pick it up if they see that it's got a thriving community.
Yeah.
And lots of players are always online because you're sourcing from both PC servers and PS5, PS4 servers.
Yeah.
Then again, you're onto a winner. You can get that user base installed.
Yeah, and also as well, let's not forget, with Project Spartacus coming up, fingers crossed, there may also be, people on the cloud side of things playing games as well. So
that is true.
Just
it's the wave of the future.
It is indeed. Right, okay, so we'll put that at a halt for the time being, because I want to move on to, you know what I'm going to say, Barnaby, I reckon.
I know what you're going to say.
It's the very first Trash or Stash, and we mentioned this last week, I believe. So the game to kick this off that I wanted to try out was Death's Door. Now, I believe, Barnaby, yourself, you've given it a go. Have you got any opinions for this, if it's trash or stash?
Yes, I have.
Okay, take it away, my friend.
Okay, so I'd never heard of this game before, Death's Door, and in fact, the studio itself is quite small.
Yeah.
Published by Devolver, but it's actually developed by a small two-man operation based out of Manchester.
That's right.
And this is only like their second published game. So when you start up the game, you get this kind of like film noir kind of feeling. Everything's in black and white, other than your character, who happens to be a crow. His weapon is a blazing red sword. So it turns out that you're a reaper and you have to go around killing monsters and collecting their souls. But the story gets a bit more in depth than that.
Yeah.
You can see straight away that it's inspired by games like Legend of Zelda, Dark Souls, maybe a little bit of Shadow of the Colossus in there, and it's got this really great atmosphere to it. The graphics are very evocative. They're kind of like simple and stylized, but it really hits that kind of sweet spot between being too cutesy and too dark and gritty. It's kind of got this dark animation element to it.
Yeah,
which really appeals to me, and also the soundtrack. It's subtle; it won't like stick in your head, but it's subtle enough to like set the atmosphere nicely. So, really atmospheric. Gameplay is very smooth. It's a little bit of like an isometric hack and slash game, but with puzzle elements to it as well. And I really enjoyed it. So definitely, this is one for the stash.
Yeah, I am of the exact same opinion. For me, this is not worthy of going in the trash. It definitely needs to be put aside to the stash. The game itself, I mean, you pretty much, again, you've covered everything there really with the game. The only, literally, and this is how, for me, how much I enjoyed playing this game, is the only thing that I could literally say that I was like, oh, I wish it had this. Do you know what it was? It was literally just a sprint, like just to be able to sprint a bit faster. That's it. That's how, I could not find fault in anything else.
If you roll it goes a little bit faster.
Oh yeah, if you roll, yeah. I mean, it's just like a sort of like a quick dash, isn't it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than like and that tells you a lot, I think. If the only thing that you can nitpick on is, I just wish the play could like run a bit faster. It's a pretty solid
I was just
game.
like really impressed with it for a game I've never heard of. It took me back to good times back in the late 90s playing Legend of Zelda, and it also reminds me a lot of Dark Souls. Even though I actually dislike playing Dark Souls, I respect the artistry that the developers put into Dark Souls, the whole process of creating the environment and the atmosphere and the lore. And although Death's Door is a much simpler game, it kind of captures the essence of that. So it's really brilliant, actually. Really, really quite a game to admire. And it is really cheap as well if you don't have Game Pass. I think it's only about £12 at the moment. So
and
pretty much a bargain for anybody who likes that kind of game.
Like you said, very impressive coming from a two-man team as well.
Definitely.
I think it was last week. No, was it last week? I did a stream anyway and playing the game, and I think I mentioned that. It looks like sort of from the developers of who made Hades, which it's not. But anybody that has played Hades and plays Death's Door will see what I'm on about. But yeah, overall, like I say, this Trash or Stash sort of segment, it's not in no way like a thorough review sort of segment or anything like that. It's literally a sort of initial reaction to playing it for even a few hours and getting a feel for the game. So yeah, me and Barnaby are in agreement. Death's Door is in the stash. Now, we've had some discussions here at the LGL podcast, and we are going to actually, instead of one, we're going to do 2 games a week. One of which will be possibly ones that we've never played before, and another one from games even from the past, going back all the way to Sega Mega Drive 2 and the SNES. Now,
or even Mega Drive 1.
Well, I suppose let's just open it.
It adds stereo, and also the graphics are slightly sharper on the original. The Mega Drive 2 is a cut down, cheaper version of the original. So always go Mega Drive 1 if you've got the choice.
We'll do Mega Drive 1 as well. That's no problem. Now, seems as though we've had a game in the stash, I am going to put a game out there which I know is going to get absolutely obliterated. The only saving grace here would be if Sam agrees with me. Now, Andy knows what's coming, that's why he's having a little giggle to himself. I think I know what's
coming too.
Right. We're going to lose listeners.
Right, okay. Now, bear in mind, listeners, this is
recording now.
Bear in mind, listeners, this opinion for this opinion for this next game comes from a time when I was a young child, 5-6 years old, playing the game.
He's building up the excuses.
Yeah, and
I was very young and impressionable, and I gave in to peer pressure.
To me, it was a fantastic game, and these guys at LGL have just given me so much stick over this. Now,
deservedly.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the drum roll? It is Bubsy on the Sega Mega Drive.
Trash.
Oh, am I the only one putting it in the stash? Hey.
Okay, so tell us what's great. Tell us what's great about Bubsy.
Right, what?
Persuade us.
Right, what I remember from that game. Bearing in mind again the big hitters like Sonic and things like that.
The good games, yes.
Now, Bubsy, you play as a cat. And in placement,
you're already off to a bad start.
I know. In placement of coins, you actually collect like balls of like yarn.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and it's just basically it's such a simple game, but actually I didn't realise until I replayed it when I got older that it is actually quite a difficult game. It's not an easy game, I'm telling you now. So I don't quite know even why I liked it when I was younger, because I don't even know if I've made it past the first level, to be honest. I honestly can't remember. I just remember
I can also not make it past the first level for different reasons.
Well, yeah. Well, it's because it's in your trash, obviously. But no, for me, I mean, there's just something about that game. It always stuck in my mind. I think...
Throughout your entire childhood, you never made it past the first level.
No, that's I don't know. I've played. Like I said, I'm the biggest game hall going. I can't remember.
You played it for 10 minutes.
Well, maybe, but it left an impression. But no, for me, that's a game. If I had that game in my hand and I had to throw it in the trash or keep it with my stash, I would be putting it with my stash. Now, Barnaby. You
stick to your guns.
You're chucking that in the bin. Andy?
Well, I'll give you a bit more description of why.
Oh, okay.
Firstly...
Just chuck it in the bin. He wants to kick it to shit and then put it in the bin.
It was quite blatantly like the most cynical cash-in that Acclaim saw all of these other cartoon mascot characters like Sonic and Mario.
Yeah.
And they blatantly cashed in, and also is like the worst era of like 90s tood, where every like character had to be edgy, so he had like this stupid exclamation mark T-shirt on as well. But aside from that, if the game was okay, it would be fine. But it's actually like one of the worst platformers. The scrolling speed is jerky and diabolical. So, like a game which came out like 2 years ago, like Sonic the Hedgehog, perfectly smooth scrolling, nothing wrong with it at all. Bubsy, like released in 1993 or something along those lines. Absolutely terribly jerky scrolling, and I think the parallax is also awful as well. The animation wasn't even that great. The controls were poor, and the sound was... I can't even remember what the sound was like, so it's probably awful. Whereas other platformers had quite a memorable, chirpy soundtrack, like, say, Sonic the Hedgehog, or even more obscure games like Kid Chameleon. Basically, there are dozens of other platformers that deserve your time much more than any of the Bubsy games do. Yes, I'm going to trash
blasphemy! Blasphemy! Andy, what's your verdict? I think I know anyway, but you know.
Hey, I might come to your side here, Luigi. You never know.
Go on then.
I'm not going to. You've got more chance of shitting in the Queen's handbag. I pretty much can't second what Barney said more. My main point was you're in an era where there were some amazing platform games.
Yeah.
And then you had Bubsy. It just cannot compete. And then backing that up, like what Barney said, it's just it's such a sheer rip-off, clone, cash cow, whatever you want to label it. No originality. Even Barney touched on it. Even like that edgy feel that everyone was trying to do it. How you kill the enemies was the same. That the fast speed was the same. Everything was just the same, but done poorly. I can't remember it massively because I tend, PTSD and all that. I try and push the negative thoughts back in my head. But I do remember it also being frustrating. And I think you guys may have touched on that given how you didn't get past level 1. I remember having real frustration of just dying really easy.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind putting in a bit of time with a game. Even like the Lion King, there was a certain level on the Lion King platform where that was a pain in the ass. Yeah. And I seem to remember Bubsy not being given how it's packaged as this like cool, edgy, fun game. I remember it causing me more sort of heart palpitations than it probably should have done.
Yeah.
So that's sort of another reason that I don't like it. So yeah, I'm with Barney. It's a clear trash. Is it the worst game ever? No. And on the back of that, I've actually done some digging since all of the grief we're giving you. And did you know, you guys, there's actually a clone of Bubsy made that was also released on the Genesis?
What was it called?
Awesome Possum.
Awesome Possum.
Awesome
played that
Possum.
one.
I haven't played it, but it's more scary that someone thought, you know what, we're going to clone a game and we're going to clone Bubsy. That's like cloning, or that's like counterfeit money.
Yeah. Well, just to clarify, I don't actually mind it when companies like blatantly copy stuff, but they've got to be good copies.
Yeah, they've got to do
because some of the
good
best games are just like rip-offs of other games. For example, like
they've got to get the mechanics right.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Which unfortunately Bubsy did not do, but.
Well,
no, I do applaud Luigi to stick to his guns, though. So yeah, fair play to
and
him.
if there was only 10 games left in the world, then you know what, there may be a place for Bubsy. But there's so many better games. I don't think Barney's ever going to play it.
That's fair enough. Now, so it's 2v1 here. Sam, you've got the decider here.
Yeah, but do you know what? I'm going to literally ruin it for everyone.
You've not played it.
Oh, I've never even heard of it.
Oh, well, that says it all,
That's
don't
not
it?
a bad
You're
thing,
probably,
Sam.
you're probably
That's not
better
a
off.
bad thing.
And to be honest with you, I'm surprised because, well, actually, I'm not surprised after what you've said about it. But
you were a Nintendo kid, weren't you, rather than a Sega kid?
Well, I was a Sega kid to begin with.
Oh, were you? I'd forgotten that part. You're a Master System collection.
I was a Master System kid.
Yeah, good man. Yeah.
And then the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo obviously came about, and that's when, and you know, I don't care what anyone says. Don't get me wrong, the Mega Drive has some really good games, but the Super Nintendo was way better. Like,
Yeah, it just
In my
just edge out. I have fond memories of both, but yeah, if I could only pick one, it would have to be the Super Nintendo. Although I'd lose a lot of classics, a lot of
I'd
Sega
pick the
classics.
Mega
Yeah,
Drive.
I mean, it's hard. There were some great games on the Mega Drive, to be fair.
Yeah, there were a lot of great games.
Yeah, there were. It's a tough one in all honesty, but yeah, I think I did own a Mega Drive. I had a Mega Drive 1 and 2, to be fair. But
Oh wow, yeah.
yeah, and I
Same as me.
remember I remember having Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, and you could plug Sonic 3 in the top of it, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most like epic Sonic game ever.
Yes, literally, yeah. So I did have it all, and they were good. But that Bubsy game, no, never played, never even heard of it. So that's just an immediate trash.
Yay!
Well, I've played because they brought out a game, Bubsy: The Woolies Strike Back, in 2017. I've played that, and you know it was okay, nothing spectacular. IGN gave it a 4.5 out of 10, but I'm just looking at that, and I didn't even realise another game come out in 2019, Bubsy: Paws on Fire.
Why?
Now, hang on a moment.
Keep people like
Why?
Luigi happy.
Hang on a moment. Listen to this.
They're
though.
one fan in the entire world.
The Bubsy game that I haven't played, which I'm sort of glad because I think it might have scarred me for life looking at the images. It released on the PlayStation 1 and it was Bubsy Bubsy 3D, and it's got a IMDb score of 2.4 out of 10.
Generous.
That game was shocking.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to try out the Bubsy 3D game. I mean, it does look horrendous if you look at the images.
Yeah.
But
it is horrendous.
But I stick by the original on the Sega. So unfortunately, I'm outnumbered. So it looks like Bubsy's going to have to go in the trash. Can't believe I just said that. But anyway, moving on. So that's the first ever segment of Trash or Stash on the Luigi's Gaming Lounge podcast, and we'll be back next week with this segment, we'll get some more views on what we think is going in the trash or going in the stash. Now, guys, obviously we've centered this around PlayStation, really, the sort of first part of this podcast. Obviously, the whole news with Xbox acquiring Activision, it's still very, very big news. Now, I read something out to you guys earlier that Phil Spencer tweeted, the head of Microsoft Gaming, because the big question on everybody's lips is, will Activision games still be releasing on PlayStation, and is Call of Duty at least going to stay on PlayStation, etc, etc. Now, this tweet reads, "Had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honour all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship." Now, upon reading that initially, it would seem that, they're keeping the games on PlayStation, they'll be released on PlayStation. But if you read that again and read it slowly and look at the wording that's been used, because let's not forget when Xbox acquired Bethesda, or ZeniMax, whatever you want to call it, Phil Spencer used some very clever wording back then, and it seems like he's done the same here. Barnaby, have you been giving this any thought?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, yes.
Have you solved the riddle?
I have. Yes, I've solved everything.
Okay.
No, I could just speculate. I speculate that, reading between the lines. I mean, you can read it in one of two ways. It's ambiguous.
Yeah.
So reading between the lines, then they're going to cut Sony out the picture as soon as their legal obligations end. Mm-hmm. That's how you could read it cynically, or you could read it as the more optimistic way, which is that Bethesda is going to still be supporting Sony or whatever the other companies that Microsoft have bought out, which seems to be like half of them at the moment. Because it's a good money maker, and it just makes more sense to sell across multiple formats than single formats. So yeah, you can look at it either one or two ways, and I don't think there's a specific answer yet.
What they could do,
probably leaning towards more the cynical aspect, and yeah, they're going to be cutting Sony out of the picture.
Yeah.
What they could do is, like you say about cutting them out of the picture, they might not need to completely cut them out. I mean, if they did, obviously, yeah, they're creating that monopoly. They're obviously becoming the more sought after, place to be if that's the kind of games you want to play. But they could go down the route of, look, let's capitalise on sales across all the platforms, but because we own, the rights to the games and all the rest of it, why don't they have exclusive content purely just on the Xbox that you can't get on anything else? That way,
so
they're
Xbox
covering
gets
ground.
The better version.
Well, basically, like Xbox will get stuff that other consoles don't get, and that way you're still capitalising on the sale across all platforms, but you are still then potentially bringing over people from the PlayStation. People might just buy an Xbox purely just to do that. There are people out there that would do that. Do you know what I mean? Like there literally is. Like, if you could only get you could get an exclusive, I don't know, exclusive handful of weapons or maps or skins. Like there are literally people out there that will.
Yeah.
It would actually do that. They would just be like, "Well, I want all that stuff." Like, so I'm gonna. I'm not saying that many people would, but what you are doing, enough, yeah, of course. And it's enough. Plus, you're still, like I say, capitalising on selling across all platforms.
Yeah.
So that would probably be the most sort of intelligent way to do it without also because they could. I'm not saying shoot themselves in the foot, but I mean it would kick up a serious I don't know. It'd be a serious debate, or there'd be a lot of anger, I think, within the gaming community as a whole community. All people, all the PlayStation players would be. It'd just be pretty nasty thing to do, really. Like, just cut them off like that. But
business can be ruthless. I wouldn't put it past them.
No, I wouldn't put it past them. It's business at the end of the day, and that's the difference between,
What I was thinking, Sam, and I did mention it to Andy and Barnaby before we started recording, is the way it reads, you could even... because he states there... where is it? Yeah. I confirmed our intent to honour all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Now, we all know Warzone is free to play, and it's Call of Duty. So could that even maybe possibly relate to, well, once all of our sort of legal obligations for the sort of main games are out of the way, we're happy for PlayStation to keep Warzone on the platform, but after this time, all full release Call of Duty games will be exclusive. Because let's not forget, they spent almost $70 billion to acquire Activision Blizzard. Now, in some way, I feel like they would be silly to not eventually make those games exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. Because let's not forget, they will also release on PC. Because obviously, Microsoft, Xbox, PC, etc. So it's not like you have to go out and buy an Xbox to play those games. There's a lot of people on PC who play Call of Duty. So it would literally only affect PlayStation players, really. Nintendo obviously doesn't have Call of Duty. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the first more pessimistic viewpoint that I was thinking about, reading between the lines. And Microsoft are going to be cutting out Sony as soon as they can.
And yeah, exactly. And in a sense, I think to myself, how clever are Microsoft? The fact that they've bought out the two consoles, the X and the S, so that people who may have the super duper PS5 and don't want to go forking out all that money again on an X, they could just purchase an S and have access to the Activision games, Call of Duty, etc. Because, as it stands...
It also depends on what they're going to be bringing to Game Pass as well, because with the Game Pass, you don't even need a console.
Yeah,
like we mentioned
very true.
before.
Very true. Andy, we've not heard from you yet on this. Have you built some opinions and thoughts on this?
Yeah, I've got a few different sort of points. The first being, obviously, the deal's not done.
No.
A lot of people talk as if it's done. It's not a done deal.
No.
I think they anticipate easy 6 to 12 months to sort of go through all the hoops.
Yeah.
And I'm not a lawyer. I'm certainly not a lawyer in America, and I'm certainly not a lawyer who specialises in antitrust laws. But I imagine there's going to be an element of the law will dictate how much they can do, because monopolization is illegal in the United States. And when you're throwing this sort of amount of money and gaining this much control over a space, there's only so much they can do until it does start monopolizing and, so the end consumer starts suffering, because you are relinquishing control and dictating. And if it is a law, within the United States, there's going to be something to be said about that. Don't know the ins and outs, but I imagine that's going to maybe have something to say with how they operate in the future. You could go on the past history of when they acquired. I can never say it. Bethesda.
Yeah, ZeniMax.
So when they acquired those, I think they have done an announcement that is it Starlink and the new Elder Scrolls are going to be Xbox exclusives. Now that's surprising, because obviously Elder Scrolls is a big title. Yes, they're nowhere near as big of acquisition as Activision and Blizzard and so forth. But the fact that they're happy to do that as an Xbox exclusive does surprise me.
Starfield. I'll just quickly. Yeah, Starfield.
Starfield, not Starlink.
That's the one. Yeah.
I do think it would be financial suicide if they cut off all opportunity to generate revenue from Sony. They're gonna, if you're splashing out, yes, Microsoft have a lot of money, they've got deep pockets, but someone there's signed off this deal, they're gonna look for a return on their investment, and getting a return on that $70 billion isn't an easy feat. And if you suddenly, cut off your nose and spike your face and completely alienate more than half, because Sony's got a much more higher player base than Xbox. If you deliberately cut those out, how much revenue could you potentially, suffer? I can't see, unless it's again the playground tactics of trying to steal and bully and gain that control and monopoly, which then is it going to be illegal? I don't know. I think it could be. So I've got the same sort of mindset as Sam. Maybe not the exclusive content, although that could easily be done or incorporated within, but more timed exclusives. So, the new release, it's exclusive to Xbox for 6 to 12 months and things like that, which is, it has been common in the past. Even Sony have adopted that. I think Sony, is it with the GTA series at some point? I think Sony used to have some sort of agreement in place with Rockstar where
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think they had it for X amount of time, and then it came onto other platforms. So if you have got those die-hard gamers, like Sam said, they're not going to think twice about buying that console. You could easily use like the Dark Souls and those sort of games on PlayStation. The player base, they are hard fans. Is the Call of Duty as bad? I think on the face of it, yes. But I also think Call of Duty is on a downhill spiral at the moment.
Not as much as Battlefield, though.
No, that's getting absolutely shredded at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is true. So I think maybe Microsoft, they could do some good. They could maybe rejuvenate the Call of Duty franchise. I know Blizzard. I'm a big fan of Blizzard. I do like the StarCraft game. I know StarCraft's free to play, or StarCraft 2's free to play. So it would be good to see him rejuvenate a lot of these franchises that are doing a rinse and repeat model. Even as an Xbox fanboy, so to speak, do I want them to monopolize? Do I want them to, say, no, this is our toy, you're not playing with it? No, I don't like that business practice. Microsoft often come under the radar. They're not as bad as Apple, let's be honest. But, Microsoft have had issues in the past about open source and things like that. I am a firm believer in, make it available to people. Yeah, charge them for it. Of course, it's business at the end of the day, but don't be a dickhead about business.
You're quite right. Yeah, I agree with you as well. That's a good point. We've got to look at it as consumers as well. So it would be bad news for more exclusivity, I think, generally speaking, rather than less exclusivity. So if games are available on fewer platforms rather than more, that is bad news for gamers, I think. So we should keep an eye on that.
Yeah, no, that is true. I mean, because as bad as it is, obviously being an Xbox owner, obviously you want the best of everything, of course. But I think, like you say, having the games available across multiple platforms, there's plus sides to a lot of that. And obviously most games have an online element these days.
Going back to player bases and making sure the servers are always full.
Exactly. And do you know what? Maybe it is going to take the route of, as you say, timed exclusives, whether that's 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever. Yeah. But I suppose then there's still the element of people wondering, should I buy an Xbox? Because let's say, all of these games that are owned under Microsoft Games are going to release on the Game Pass day one, let's say. Whereas Joe Bloggs down the road, who owns a PS5, is going to have to pay £60 once that game comes out. Do you see what I'm saying? So, like, not only are they going to have to wait 6 months, 9 months, whatever, they then have to fork out £60 for the privilege of playing the game when they could be on an Xbox. Do you see what I'm saying? So at least you're leaving that open so that people who are diehard PlayStation fans can purchase it.
I think if Microsoft pitch it right, and if they pitch it for the players and for the end consumers, and they come across as civil and like they care, it can be a great move. But if they do come across and try and bully and try and be the bigger person and, this, look what we've got, look what you had, I don't think people are going to buy it, especially in the society we're in. People do have options. We don't like to be dictated to, like Barney says. The consumers want to have choice, freedom of choice and things like that. But like you say, Luigi, if they do play it right and they say, look, you know what, we're not forcing you to. It is going to come onto this console in the future, but like you say, you'll have to pay for it. We've got it now available. You get it for free as well. We're doing that for you. If they can do it for the end consumer, and again, let's be honest, it's marketing at the end of the day. You're marketing it to come across nice and civil and approachable, and people want a return for their expenditure, don't they? You want to get the most bang for your buck.
Yeah, just on the subject of free, I mean, the Game Pass is extraordinarily good value now. But if Sony dropped out of the market, then
exactly,
Microsoft would be the only game in town with the Game Pass. They could charge whatever they want.
Yeah. And it's happening now amongst the look at the utility prices in this country.
Mm-hmm. But then saying that, that's where it then shifts the power to the people. So let's just say, just for argument's sake, let's say for whatever reason Microsoft instantly doubled the subscription price. All it would take is for Microsoft Xbox customers to all band together and cancel their subscriptions.
They won't do that.
No, they won't do it. No, they won't.
Supply and demand.
Hang on. But this is what I'm saying. This is where, we as people, the little people, forget that we actually hold a lot of power when we come together, right?
But you also forget that Microsoft make a tiny percentage of their revenue from the gaming industry, from the gaming sector, right? Whereas Sony make the majority of their revenue from the gaming sector,
right? But but what
even if you all pan together and cancel your subscriptions, Microsoft still carries on because they're such
they'll still carry on. But what I'm saying is if they, like I said, if they doubled the price, let's just say for argument's sake, and then they had a huge drop in subscriptions, you're telling me they're not going to look at that and just be like, okay, yeah, we do need an increase, but maybe it should be this instead of that. I mean, come on.
And that's true, of course it is. But they wouldn't do the big increase. You'll get a couple of quid here,
incremental.
There,
I see that happening.
A couple of quid there, and that's what will happen. And then if they don't, again, luckily, like I say, America, as far as I'm aware, do have sort of antitrust monopolization laws in place. If they aren't there, then you get to a case where Microsoft have all their eggs in that one basket. They can charge what they want, and you say, right, I'm not paying it. Okay, you don't have to, but then there's no other option. Or even if you do go back to Sony, they've got no more fucking titles because Microsoft have brought them all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think you could see this a comparison with the streaming sites. We're quite fortunate to have 3 fairly big streaming services in the UK, in Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Disney Plus. And because there is that competition, not one of them can raise their prices too much higher than the other. If it was just Netflix alone, or if it was just Disney Plus and nothing else, then they'd be free to raise their prices, because the next comparison would be like paying for Sky, which is a small fortune every month.
And you look at Sky, why is Sky a small fortune? Because back in the day, you had 4-5 channels when Channel 5 was released, or you paid for Sky. Then obviously Freeview came out, and then that was only available to X amount of the country, much like the fast speed internet was. So people had no option. They paid silly money with Sky, but Sky nowadays are struggling. Why? Again, yes, okay, they've still got money, but their subscribers are going down and down and down and down and down, because, again, the value for money is non-existent. Sky themselves are even accepting that, and they're going into the Now TV streaming service. But even that can't compete, because their catalogue is so thin on the ground. I think the only thing Now TV have over the other streaming services is new releases. Again, that's only from certain studios, because you have the likes of Netflix funding their own productions. So again, Sky is the family. Is it the Murdoch family that owns Sky? I think it might be the Murdoch family. Again, they're a prime example of they're just wolves, aren't they? They'll suck as much blood as they can, and it's all about money. They've never done anything to sort of think about the end consumer. Do I think Microsoft's that bad? No, but if they aren't kept in check, any corporate entity can go down that route, and it's not good for the consumer.
As companies, they're always looking at profits. Even if they don't ethically agree with it, it's very hard to say no to more profits.
Yeah, because the figures go to the boardroom, and it's the numbers that talk, isn't it?
Yeah. So as consumers, we do need that competition. So as long as you have a strong competition between various big players, I think we're golden. But if we lose that and there's only one big player, then we could be in trouble.
To be honest with you, I mean, let's just say the scenario is that all the games from Activision Blizzard become exclusive, so they don't. Even Call of Duty doesn't release on PS, the PlayStation. Now, that's not to say that Sony's going to bow out, because, again, like I've mentioned previously, they have some fantastic, first party, games.
True.
But yeah. I mean, again, they could double down extra hard on that if the exclusivity was put in place for the Activision Blizzard games. But it's all speculation. We don't really know any sort of we don't know
you could look quite deep into those small studios as well, because, again, like you say, Sony does have a lot of studios on their books that luckily create those exclusive titles. But they are smaller studios than the likes of Activision and Blizzard. And if Microsoft wanted to, they could have those as well. You're sort of relying on, one, how deep Sony's pockets are to counter or terms to counter Microsoft's, and two, the morals and ethics of those more grassroots studios. And I think Sony are getting more lucky maybe on the morals and ethics. I imagine those smaller indie, and not even indie, the smaller game developers, they're doing it for the love of the game. But everyone's got a price. Everyone works for a reason. can it potentially get to the part where Microsoft start buying them as well? Yeah, because Microsoft have got infinite money and deep pockets.
Yeah, yeah, but I think, like you say, I think then that's when, let's say, Microsoft then goes in and buys up a load of these sort of, developers that you're talking about. I think that is the point where it would sort of be like, right, enough's enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of like this monopolization sort of thing, that I think that to me would then be a step too far, because that is when you're sort of coming in like a wrecking ball and saying, sticking your middle finger up.
It's funny you say that, because obviously if they buy Naughty Dog, they buy one studio. If they buy, I can't think of another, if I buy another studio, they buy one studio. Their acquisitions at the moment, it looks as if they're just acquiring one, but they're actually acquiring a whole umbrella of studios, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
So if you broke it down into individual studios, they sort of are doing a wrecking ball.
Well, in such a way, but I think, I know with the acquisition of ZeniMax and now obviously Activision Blizzard, again, if we're talking exclusivity, I know that is a lot of games off the market then for PlayStation, but, I don't feel it puts PlayStation in a position that, they're going to go under or anything like that, because there's still plenty of developers out there with decent games for the PlayStation 5, and so on. But I don't know. It's all speculation. We really don't know just yet what's going to happen. But so long as it benefits most of us, I think we'll all be happy. And so long as
I will add one thing. If this acquisition can get our fellow friend and gamer Dave across onto an Xbox platform, then Microsoft has my full support.
Oh god, sorry, excuse me.
It was that humorous.
I actually, on the day that the news broke about the acquisition, I messaged him. I
messaged him as well.
Oh, did you?
He would have got in both barrels.
I messaged him. And I just sent him. I sent him a screen image. Screenshot, sorry. What did I actually say? But anyway, basically just showing him and saying, you might not, in the future, you might not. I wasn't being a dick about it or anything. Okay, maybe I did. I sent a screenshot and I put Xbox have gone all guns blazing this gen, and then I put come join the dark side ... and his response was, nah, I'm happy with my PS5. Yeah, he's happy with it for now. But no, yeah, I think, to be honest with you, we've covered pretty much everything there. And again, it's all speculation. Once we actually start getting more and more details, we will cover that on the podcast. And also, I just want to say, because I was very outnumbered here, if anybody else is a fan of Bubsy, please email us and please back me up. You can do that by emailing luigisgaminglounge@gmail.com. That's luigisgaminglounge@gmail.com.
Luigi, why'd you set yourself up for upset?
I know. I'm
honestly.
Well, look. I'm a fan, okay, of Bubsy. I'm actually going to set myself a little challenge, and I'm going to attempt to complete the first game. Okay?
You're going to be streaming it.
Do you know what? I might just do that.
No one will be watching.
Probably not. Probably not. But you're
going to end up hating it, I think, by the time you complete it.
Yeah, I might have to end up changing my my decision on the trash or stash, but we'll see.
I think there's a film called How to Lose Friends and Alienate People.
Yeah,
you should probably watch that, because that's going to be you if you stream that shit.
Oh no, maybe I'll stay away.
No, people love people playing bad games. So
yeah, there you go. Oh, actually, as well, just before we go, I looked into the Resident Evil 2 remake. Wow, it looks really good, by the way, guys.
Oh, have you not played it?
No, I've played the PlayStation 1 Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 and 3.
Yeah, I never actually finished it. I've got good good way through it though. Yeah, so it's really good.
Yeah, I was watching a guy playing it earlier, and I was actually like, do you know what? I really want to play this because obviously I remember playing the PlayStation 1 version.
It's quite different to that version, but
yeah,
you know, it's still a great remake and a great game. It's not like, and to be honest with you, Resident Evil 2 was one of the, always was known as to be one of the best Resident Evils, if not the best, for a long time. So it was a lot to live up to. It was a big risk, I suppose, changing the game, you know, as far as a remake goes, and not actually sticking to the original and just basically upscaling that with HD. So no, they did a great job on it, and
that's the thing, though. It is a remake rather than a remaster.
Yes. Yeah.
So as long as players know what they're getting into, I think that you can change it up and make it fresher and new for a new generation.
Well,
you can, but it can also backfire sometimes, regardless of whether it's remake or remaster.
That is true.
I was watching.
People just don't sometimes like change, do they? To an original classic.
I was watching it earlier, and I was honestly thinking to myself, I would love to play this, but one, obviously, I'm shit scared, and two, I thought, I could stream this game, but then I'm like, just.
I'll be honest with you, Luigi. I'll be honest with you, Luigi. That is. You will be scared playing it because you're scared of like Resident Evil 5, and Resident Evil 5 isn't even remotely close to being as scary as that.
Right, well, Sam, what we're going to have to do is you're going to have to come here.
I'm not coming for a sleepover.
You're going to have to come here and we'll stream together, yeah? You can sit next to me and hold my hand whilst I'm...
Just don't cross the streams.
Hey, you're trying to get views here. People don't want to see you snuggling up to me. And then
there's a market for everything on the internet.
There is.
Although maybe maybe they do. We might end up breaking some records on the view count. So I suppose it's worth
Tune
a go,
in for
isn't
some hot Resident Evil 2 action.
That's fine, Sam. If you're not up for it, there's another LGL member that will be. Tony, I'm talking about you, my friend, Commando Para. I know you'll be up for a bit of hand-in-hand action.
I'm here.
The title will just be called Two Guys, One Game.
Yeah. Well, I genuinely, just to quickly finish this off, I genuinely was sitting there thinking, what would I actually title the stream? Because I honestly sat there thinking to myself, I may have to, if I stream this, I may have to actually change game partway through the stream because I literally would crap my pants.
You need to put something that's going to catch people's attention. I'd put something like Little Bitch, Scared Little Bitch, play
Little Bitch streaming. Got a nice ring to it.
Oh, God.
Or,
this sort of chat here is like what we said about, after the podcast, this is this sort of conversation.
It's LGL uncut.
LGL uncut.
Yeah.
But no, we'll end the podcast here on that note. And,
quivering baby attempts to play Resident Evil. Overgrown baby plays Resident Evil.
It might make for good viewing.
There's some good titles, mate. Don't worry about that. We've got that part covered.
Oh, that's all right then. Well, that's been episode 38 of Luigi's Gaming Lounge. Appreciate everybody listening. And again, if you'd like to contact us, that's luigisgaminglounge@gmail.com, luigisgaminglounge@gmail.com. Thank you guys for being here with me on the podcast and everyone listening. Have a great week, and we will see you at episode 39. See you later, guys.
Got
See ya.
the big 40 coming up soon. See you guys.
40. Bye.